Welcome, kids. This is Teacher Josh, and I hope you're enjoying the new Reading Club recordings. I know I am. I absolutely am loving all of these books, and I especially love the ones about animals. Do you guys know they used to call me the Animal Man of Africa? Because, man, when I was a kid growing up in Togo, West Africa, I had literally probably over 100 different animals. It used to take me an hour to feed all my animals in the morning, and man, I loved animals. What's your favorite animal? Do you think animals have rights? Well, let's take a look at today's article. Animal Rights, November 5th, 2021. Melissa Chan for Time. Well, look at that little cutie. Aww. Let's see what it says about this little baby elephant. It's a sunny afternoon at the Bronx Zoo in New York City. A monorail train approaches the elephant exhibit. A child screeches in delight as an Asian elephant named Happy comes into view. Happy flaps her ears. She wraps her trunk around the fence of her enclosure. A zoo may be the only chance any of us will get to see an Asian elephant. There are about 50,000 of them left in the wild. Every year there are fewer. So let's take a look at some of the words here. Monorail train. Monorail train. A train, of course, is just a form of transportation. It rides on two tracks and it has many cars attached. You guys can see down here is a little monorail train. And delight. What is delight? It means she's extremely happy to see this Asian elephant. And the little elephant flaps her ears. Flap means kind of like whoa, 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 waves its ears. It's almost like she's waving at the little girl. Wraps her trunk. So wraps is the idea of to curl her trunk around. And the trunk is that long nose that an elephant has. And an enclosure is just like uh, the area where the elephant is kept. It has like a fence around it. That's the enclosure. Wow. Can you believe it? There's only 50,000 of these elephants left. That's kind of sad, isn't it? So there's the monorail train. And it looks like it's just a train that little train with no top on it that goes around the elephant park. People watch Happy the elephant from the monorail at the Bronx Zoo in New York City. But Happy is lonely at the zoo, says the Non-Human Rights Project. It's an animal rights group. A fence separates Happy from Patty, another elephant. The NHRP is taking the Bronx Zoo to court. It wants Happy moved to a sanctuary. She'll have contact with other elephants there. Aww. So a sanctuary is different than an enclosure. A sanctuary is usually in a natural environment, um, and there's usually a much larger area for the elephants to wander in, and there's other elephants there. So that's what a sanctuary is. Let's see here. Lonely, there's a good word. Lonely means you feel all alone and you're sad because there's no one else around. Um, separates. It means it comes between. It keeps them apart. Let's see. Do we have another? Okay, I think that's good on that section. Look at this picture. Free happy, free happy. These are people protesting. They want happy to have friends, so they're protesting. Wow. Speak out. A crowd gathers at the Bronx Zoo to call for Happy's release to an elephant sanctuary. On the case, the NHRP's case against the Bronx Zoo is unusual. The group is relying on a legal order meant for humans. The order says a person who has been unlawfully imprisoned must be released. The NHRP will argue in court that Happy should have the same right. There's research to support that argument. In 2005, Happy became the first Asian elephant to pass a mirror test. This test is given to see if an animal can recognize itself like a person does. Experts say elephants thrive when they form social bonds. Joyce Poole studies elephants in Africa. Keeping one in a city is a recipe for disaster, she says. As you can imagine, if you were locked behind bars, there's not much to do. Aww. Well, let's take a look at some of the words here. The first word I notice is unusual. Unusual is the opposite of normal, okay? The opposite of normal. If something is unusual, it's strange. Relying on something, that's kind of like depending on something. Um, yeah, rely, depend on. You need something. Legal is talking about the law. So they're trying to make a legal argument. They're trying to take their case to the court because they don't want Happy locked up. Unlawfully imprisoned. Unlawful means it is against the law. Unlawful, against the law. Imprisoned means to be behind bars or in jail or being held against your will. It's in some type of enclosure. So that's imprisoned. Released means to let out. To let out. Lots of great words here. Recognize, it means to remember something or someone. So if I recognize you, it means I know who you are. Let's see here. Any other words? Social. The word social means you like to be around other things that are the same as you. So if a person is social, they like to be around other people and talk and enjoy themselves. Elephants can be social too. They're social creatures. They like to be in groups. It says social bonds. Bonds are just connections. Just like people need other people, elephants need other elephants in order to stay emotionally healthy. She uses the phrase recipe for disaster. A recipe, of course, is generally thought of as all the ingredients that you need to make, say, chocolate chip cookies. So what they're saying is all of these things, putting an elephant in an enclosure by itself for years is a recipe for a disaster. A disaster means a big problem. So a minute ago, they were talking about the mirror test. It's really a way to test an animal's intelligence. If an animal can look at itself in a mirror and recognize itself, you've got a highly intelligent animal. So that's one of the tests they do. Mirror image studies show that dolphins can recognize themselves. This is a sign of high intelligence. The zoo's view. The Bronx Zoo says Happy is well cared for, and some people say removing her from the zoo would be a mistake. At zoos, kids can form a connection to elephants. Our greatest hope is for people to want to protect and preserve these beautiful animals, Jody Gibson says. She's president of the Zoological Society for Milwaukee. Okay, couple of words here. Hope. That's kind of like our greatest desire. Okay, hope, desire. And then protect means to keep safe, preserve. Again, it's kind of the same idea as protect. Um, it's the idea, preserve is the idea of to keep safe over time. So they're trying to, the zoo says we're trying to protect and keep this little animal safe. Look at this octopus. That is so cool. Uh, Brainiacs, octopuses, found in many aquariums, can be clever enough to escape from their tanks. Look at that. According to the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA, some 55 million school children visited zoos each year before the coronavirus pandemic. Still, attitudes about zoos are changing. In 2015, SeaWorld considered ending its killer whale shows. The park had been criticized for keeping the creatures in captivity. Wow. Incredible animals. Killer whales have long entertained people at marine parks, but the animals don't thrive in captivity. But zoos reach more people than any other people involved with conservation. They're more important than ever, AZA President Dan Ashe says. If there's a time when children can no longer visit zoos and learn to care about elephants, he says, it'll come at a great cost. All right, so we've got the word conservation. Conservation just means to protect our environment, or to protect anything, really. Let's see, let's keep rolling here. Other court cases. In 2014, the Supreme Court of India made waves. It said animal rights are protected under the nation's constitution. When it banned a bullfighting festival, the court wrote that animals have the right to live in a healthy and clean atmosphere. That same year, a court in Argentina ruled that an orangutan named Sandra could be freed from a zoo. The ruling was later reversed, but Sandra was still moved to a sanctuary in Florida. Oh, Sandra, you're so cute. Well, wow. Couple words here. Um, bullfighting. Bullfighting is really a brutal sport where you have a man fighting with a bull, which often ends in the bull's death. And let's see, anything else there? Reversed. That means they changed their mind and went back to the original ruling. Okay. Man, this is interesting. What do you think? Do you think animals have rights? Do you think an animal should be put in a zoo? Is that okay? Do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages of doing such a thing? All right. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.